All right, free radicals of all shapes, sizes, colors, and denominations. Welcome back. I am Dave. This is the Radical Independent. Hey, Tulsi Gabbard went to a 9/11 truth meeting, press conference. Stories of strength and resilience. By the way, nobody in the crowd is wearing any tinfoil. These are not conspiracy mongers. They know that our government isn't telling the full truth. And they're very focused on what is going on with Saudi Arabia. Tulsi Gabbard is the only candidate running for office who's really all that concerned about Saudi Arabia. With apologies to Bernie Sanders, who at times has shown some interest, but has also called people like Maduro, who's in Venezuela, who's not in Saudi Arabia, but he's called him an evil dictator and so forth. And it's not like you can't call people dictators, but as soon as you do that, you're kind of saying, wink, wink, nod to the generals. Go in and take him out. He's evil. We don't want those people to suffer, even though every time we get involved with something like that, the suffering typically increases. So why did Tulsi Gabbard go to this event? Well, this isn't a politically scripted moment on the campaign. This is Tulsi Gabbard being Tulsi Gabbard, and it just so happens it coincides with her presidential campaign, and it certainly makes her look far more nuanced, far more human as a candidate and as a person than anyone else running. So let's hear from one of two people who both of whom lost their dad in 9/11. I don't know how you get up and speak and say anything. I don't know how I just wouldn't go into the fetal position and just kind of go in a corner somewhere. But these guys, they've got courage, but they want answers. So let's hear from these two individuals, and then I'm going to do a little fast forwarding here and break down what happens when a certain question is asked.
My name is Brett Eagleson. I lost my dad in the South Tower. He was on the 17th floor. I was 15 years old. I'm joined by Chris Gansey. He lost his father, FDNY Chief Peter Gansey. We shouldn't know each other. We came together because our fathers died together. They both stayed behind and they helped. They both could have left, but they both stayed behind and they had the towers fall on them. We also shouldn't be standing here in this room today, 18 years later, begging for scraps from our government for information that we so very much need. And to think that our government failed us 18 years ago, they're still failing us today. The Department of Justice and FBI are actively choosing to side with the Saudis over the American citizens, over people like presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, who enlisted after 9/11 to fight the good fight. And we can't thank Congressman Gabbard enough for being our champion, for being our hero. My brother joined the Army right after 9/11 to avenge his father, and I'm sure you guys would get along great. And he's with us here, not here today, but he's thanks you as well. All the servicemen thank you. And I want to let Chris say a few words as well, because it's important that he get a chance to speak, and we shouldn't be here. Our government should do better than that. We deserve better.
I just want to say thank you to the Congresswoman. We really appreciate it. It's been 18 years, but it's been incredibly frustrating. I was not a New York City fireman at the time, but like you, 9/11 changed my life. I heard that call, and I'm an Ivy League guy. I got an MBA, and next thing you know, I'm pulling ceilings in Brooklyn for $45,000 a year as a member of the New York City Fire Department. I'm sure my dad wished he would have bought a boat instead, but it is what it is. But like I said before, I'm a news guy, and I try to keep up to date. And a month or so ago, there was an oil refinery that was attacked in the kingdom, and a lot of foreign policy experts are talking about committing, United States resources, military, or God forbid, our blood, to that cause.
So do you think everybody is pro-war? No. Sounds like the citizenry understands, paying attention to the news. All of a sudden I hear about, that we're thinking about, again, going to war in a place that we have no business going to war in. It just really amazing that progressives, a lot of conservatives, the neocons, the neolibs, they all seem okay with this stuff. They all seem like, hey, this is what we do. We're America. Have you been watching TV lately? Do you see all of the television programming geared toward glamorizing this stuff? So, Tulsi Gabbard was the only candidate to show up for this event.
So I have to say that Congresswoman Gabbard is the first and only presidential candidate to stand shoulder to shoulder with the 9/11 first responders and family members, and we can't be more thrilled to have her support in this fight with us. We've had strong congressional support, but there has been no candidate that's come outwardly to join us like Congresswoman Gabbard has. We've tried to reach out to multiple, but their campaigns just don't have the capacity to respond to us. And
their campaigns don't have the capacity to respond to us. I don't know. I sit here and I go, this is such a no-brainer vote. There's just one candidate that is so much better than the other candidates running. And maybe because, I came from the right, and I look at Tulsi Gabbard, and one of the first things I noticed about her was she wasn't frantic, she wasn't name-calling, she wasn't a lunatic, she didn't have a scowl on her face all the time, she didn't blame her gender, or her religion, or her skin color for anything. And she wasn't looking to use that as a campaign platform. She's looking at all Americans, and she cares about all Americans. I mean, this, obviously, for the other campaigns, going to this would have been too controversial for them. The beginning of this press conference, what a lot of progressives are probably going to harp on is the fact that Tulsi Gabbard said the words. She said radical Islamic terrorism. Now, before you jump off the deep end and think that, oh no, she said that and she's broad brushing, Tulsi Gabbard has done more than anyone else on the campaign trail as far as describing that narrow sect of Islam which is responsible for it. And if you don't want to call it Islam, if you want to say it's just radical ideology that's not affiliated with Islam, okay. But I mean, at this point, you're parsing, but then you're going to tell me, well, Dave, she should know better. That shows that she's tone deaf and she doesn't perceive what this is. And I say she knows perfectly well what it is, and she's calling it out. Look, if a bunch of Christians were blowing up buildings, I would say they're radical Christian terrorists or something. I don't understand why that would be controversial, but it is nowadays. And I understand that many people who practice Islam, Islamic people, have been under a lot of persecution because of what happened. And it is unfair, and I'm sure if Tulsi Gabbard were president, she'd be calling that out equally as well. She would be doing a lot of defining, redefining, clarification. But in any event, I found this event fascinating because the look on Tulsi Gabbard's face, I just see somebody who cares deeply about humanity and about American citizens especially. And it just seems as though there are so few people on this planet and in this country who get it. They want a tribal person running the country. They want somebody who wakes up in the morning and destroys the other side. Whether it's Trump now, I don't think Obama did a lot of destroying, but he was viewed as kind of polarizing on the right. Compared to what we have now, Obama was a walk in the park, I will admit it. Obama didn't help anybody, though. He just was managing the chaos. Trump is creating more chaos and distraction as he pretends he's the greatest manager who's ever managed the chaos. Tulsi Gabbard would be the first president we've had in ages who actually calmed things down. Remember FDR? He calmed the people down. He said, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. No other candidate who's ever run for this office in my lifetime has had these traits and these qualities. She is the right person running for president. And the people that don't understand her or who nitpick her candidacy probably have a lot of personal flaws themselves. And I'm not just saying it's jealousy, but I do tend to think that people don't want to put someone who is a better person than they are in the Oval Office. I think it's intimidating. It's too high of a standard for people to even just look up to these days. So in any event, Tulsi Gabbard goes all 9/11 truth, and yours truly couldn't be more thrilled. It's great to watch and shows her radical independence. Would be great to talk to her for this program. If anybody out there can reach out to Tulsi and have her people contact my people, by the way, are me. So if her people want to contact me, Twitter, Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook all that much, but Twitter, Facebook, obviously here. You can certainly join Patreon for $1 and then send me a message over there. So I'd love to talk to Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard and just to thank her for what she's doing for the country. Win or lose, and we hope for a win, because without Tulsi Gabbard actually winning this election, we're most likely going to have the status quo for at least another 4 years. And I don't know how many more election cycles that this country can wait. We cannot keep waiting. We have to act now. All right, people, done with this video. Be back soon, and I will see